In December 2024, during Africa Industrialization Week at the African Union headquarters in Addis Ababa, experts from the United Nations and the African Union made a bold statement. Africa needs to step up its investment in infrastructure. They're talking about building better roads, airports, energy systems, and even improving schools. Why? Because they believe these things are the key to speeding up industrialization and transforming economies across the continent. The idea is straightforward. If transportation, electricity, and communication are better, businesses will want to set up shop, people will get jobs, and the economy will thrive. But not everyone agrees that infrastructure alone can deliver these results. Some critics say this focus on big projects doesn't always create the kind of long-term changes people want to see. For the past 2 decades, especially during the 2010s, Africa has poured massive amounts of money into infrastructure projects, believing that better roads, railways, dams, and ports would unlock the door to industrialization and prosperity. The results? The continent now has better infrastructure than it did 20 years ago. But what it also has is a massive debt crisis. Many African countries borrowed heavily to fund these projects, and now they're struggling to pay back those loans. Instead of becoming a springboard for growth, this debt has turned into a heavy burden. What's worse, industrialization, the very goal of these infrastructure investments, has remained stagnant. Factories haven't sprung up at the pace leaders hoped, and Africa's economies haven't shifted towards producing high-value goods. Poverty and unemployment remain stubbornly high, with many young people unable to find decent jobs. At the same time, an increasing share of national revenues is being redirected to repay loans instead of being spent on things that directly benefit citizens like education, healthcare, and social programs. Essentially, many African citizens are paying the price for decisions made years ago to pursue large-scale projects that, according to the critics, haven't delivered the transformative change they were promised. And here's another issue that makes things even more complicated: corruption. Large infrastructure projects often come with large budgets, with questionable oversight mechanisms, and that can be an open door for misuse of funds. Some leaders and officials have been accused of inflating costs or directing money into their own pockets instead of the projects. Mismanagement, lack of transparency, and shady deals can eat up resources that were meant to improve lives, leaving unfinished or poorly executed projects that don't deliver what was promised. Despite all these challenges, the debt crisis, stagnant industrialization, persistent poverty, and even corruption, the United Nations and the African Union still believe in the infrastructure-led growth model. In fact, they want to double down on it. During Africa Industrialization Week in December 2024, their message was clear. Africa needs more investment in infrastructure to accelerate industrialization and transform economies. So they must have compelling reasons to believe this, right? After all, organizations like the UN and AU wouldn't keep pushing this model unless they truly thought it could work. So what's the truth? Is this infrastructure-led growth model, which Africa has followed for decades, really the key to sustainable and equitable prosperity for its people? Or is it doomed to fail, leaving the continent saddled with debt and unrealized dreams? And if this model isn't the answer, what path should Africa really be on? Hey, if you like that video, click somewhere to the right of your screen to watch the full unfiltered version. All the best and thank you.